Here with Joe Clark from the Washington Times for Inside the Story. Joe, thanks for coming on today.
Thanks a lot for having me.
So you've been covering the National Defense Authorization Act, and that's all about military spending, funding the military through the next year. There's a lot of things that are included in that bill that either aren't really related to military spending or kind of tangentially related, like the vaccine mandate for U.S. military personnel. It looks like that's included in the bill right now. That they're actually repealing that mandate. What took so long for that to happen? I mean, why is it now that we're actually seeing the push to eliminate that vaccine mandate?
Yeah, as you said, so this is one of those, known on the Hill as a must-pass bill. So as you mentioned,
The
it includes
overall NDAA.
the overall NDAA, and it's a policy bill meant to, its real function is to authorize the military to complete its mission, right? To complete its
Mm-hmm.
job. There is a funding issue or funding piece that comes in, but the overarching role of the bill is to authorize policy.
Sure.
But as you mentioned, it also includes a bunch of lawmakers tack on a lot of extraneous bills to this, specifically because they know it's pretty much guaranteed to go through Congress.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what took so long, was to sort out between the House and Senate Armed Services Committee the final text of the bill. So the House passed its version over the summer, but now they've got to go back with the Senate and House compromise and work it through.
Sure.
Specifically on the vaccine piece, it's interesting because this was something that Republicans have, since it went in place, since August of 2021, have pushed back against the vaccine mandate.
Mm-hmm.
They argue that it is impacting military recruiting and retention goals, which we saw this year.
Declined. Yeah.
Yeah, declined, and they missed their target. So they make that argument. They also say that it unfairly, targets traditionally young and healthy members of the military that really, wouldn't be impacted by the virus. This is the argument that they make.
Mm-hmm.
So last week or the week before, we saw a group of senators come forward, led by Senator Paul, but also included Lindsey Graham, interestingly, who they don't normally come on the same page on a lot of things.
Kind of different types of Republicans there.
Exactly. But they got together along with about a dozen other Republicans that said, hey, we are not going to move this bill forward in the Senate unless we have a measure included, unless we're able to vote on a repeal of the vaccine mandate. And critically, they also wanted military members that had been kicked out for refusing the vaccine to be reinstated.
Now, that's what I was going to ask about, or you might be answering that, but are these people going to get reinstated who got kicked out over the vaccine mandate?
Right. So the final text of the bill, released late last night, includes a provision to do away with the mandate, but it does not include a provision to reinstate these people that were kicked out. So they're kind of a compromise there. But it is notable that Democrats came on board for this. I mean, Democrats still control the House, and
for the time, obviously, because this is
for the time being,
lame duck session, yeah.
Right. This is expected to pass, this Congress, right? So, it's interesting. And House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, took a stand on this as well. He said he had a conversation with President Biden, who signaled over the weekend that he would be willing to consider the repeal. He later walked that back after he said he spoke with Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin. He said, hey, we need to keep this in place. There were also discussions with House Armed Services Chairman Adam Smith, who said, hey, this is maybe something we would consider. So Democrats weren't really this wasn't something that they wanted to fight too much on, although there is still that tension with the White House that is ongoing over this.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I'm surprised the Democrats actually finally came on board for this. I mean, even if it is the compromise of just axing the mandate itself, but do you think down the road, that's something Republicans in their new House majority might be pushing for, is reinstating those military personnel that were kicked out because of the mandate? Do you think that's
Yeah,
a possibility?
they could. There's a couple things I want to point out on that, though. So
Mm-hmm.
the Republicans themselves say they don't know exactly how many people were actually kicked out, right? So
Or said they couldn't join the military. I guess there's kind of two different camps
yeah, exactly.
there.
But
Yeah,
it's far more impactful if you're kicked out of the military because you refused the vaccine.
discharged. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. So, but if you were a recruit that wanted to get in, obviously, like, hey, just resubmit your package, right? You might be good now.
Yeah.
Potentially, I don't know, but the 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 issue is, they don't know how many people were kicked out. The Pentagon has also said in the past that these people weren't dishonorably discharged. So they could be able to get back in. Now they won't have back pay. It's definitely it's a shakeup in their life, right? But
Yeah.
the Pentagon has said in the past that the type of discharge that they receive, they shouldn't be barred from getting back in the military should they choose to receive the vaccine, or in this case, now that the mandate is gone.
Mm-hmm.
So the point I'm trying to make is it could be a fight that continues. Some Republicans, especially in the House, have signaled, hey, this isn't good enough. McCarthy last night said in a statement that he would continue to fight to make sure that these people are reinstated, and that justice is served, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
But where would this fit in over the next year, right? Where
Sure.
exactly?
And how much can you actually do when you just have the House majority? And I mean, is this going anywhere? Where are you going to find a compromise with Senate Democrats, who now, after the Georgia results, have a 51-seat majority, a true majority in the Senate?
Right.
But the axing the vaccine mandate actually seems like something that makes sense it's germane to this bill. But there's things in the NDAA that really aren't, I think a lot of people would consider not, have nothing to do with military readiness or the military being able to execute its mission. Things like, I saw there's like provisions for solar panels, all sorts of weird like green energy, Green New Deal stuff that's in this bill. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, and again, this just goes back to it's a tool for lawmakers to use to get their priorities passed through Congress, writing on a bill that they've passed every year for the past 6 decades, right?
Yeah, no one's going to stop this because you're stopping the rhetoric is you're stopping the military from being able to do what it's supposed to do. But you've got all these. It seems like you have a lot of amendments and riders in this that really wouldn't pass otherwise. But
potentially, right? So there was a fight, over the past couple of weeks about Senator Manchin's his permitting.
Sure. Oil and gas.
So, right.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the one that bubbled up and, was in the press and a lot of people were paying attention to. And opponents of that measure made that same argument. They were like, hey, this has nothing to do with the military. Why are we included in that?
Yeah.
But it's just a function of, hey, this is something that the lawmakers use. And it's a massive bill. It's a gargantuan bill that, so you'll see a lot of top line things. And then you'll see a lot of very esoteric amendments or policy included in the bill that, right, it passes, or it's very meaningful for the
lobbyist frenzy,
right. So that's what that is, and they really have never. It comes up every year. They really have never, put a complete lockdown on the bill. Hey, defense policy only, right? So there's this fight always comes up every year.
Yeah. Well, Joe, that's really interesting. I think a lot of people just don't understand really all that goes into this bill every year. It's good to make it, known to everyone so we can, maybe here at FreedomWorks stop some of the bad things going into it. But really appreciate you coming on and giving us the inside scoop from Capitol Hill.
Thanks a lot for having me. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Joe.